All right, welcome back to NBA Today. I'm here with Ramona, Richard, and Chanae. So LeBron is saying that he is in the zone. Don't let him get in his zone. Richard, do you see anything different from him?
No, honestly, the thing I take from that is that, over the course of his career, he has become extremely more humble as he's gotten older. Look, all kidding aside, look. Big fella's balling right now, kind of like Joel Embiid is balling. There's certain guys that are balling, but unfortunately, his groove is not leading to the wins that they have over the course of the first 16 years or 17 years, 19 years, whatever it is of his career, and that's been the biggest issue for the Lakers.
Well, you said be humble. Did you see what he said on Instagram?
What he said? Oh,
all of their problems can't be solved through one player. It's going to have to take a collective, effort for them to all get back on track. But I will say this, I do like them being a little bit more cautious with him coming back on the road, because all those flights, it doesn't matter if they're private or commercial, they add up on your body. And so I like him coming on the latter half of the road trip, because I'm someone who's known how to deal with coming back. And I will say this, defensively, that is the biggest upgrade that you're going to get with AD back, because this is a team that right now has the 5th worst defense. They allow about the 7th most points in the paint ever since AD has been out. This guy has been an all-defensive player for multiple years, and that's the biggest boost that they'll have. They know that they have a helicopter in the paint that can swat things, and they can play more aggressive on the perimeter, and I think that will amount in more wins. So if it's one person, AD is a huge boost, but we all know that the Lakers have to do it together. One player's not good enough.
Woo! Yeah, well, look, you look at it down there, 13 and 14 with Davis, 10 and 10 without them. Is there any difference? Is there any? And now I understand, before everyone starts going crazy, LeBron James missed a ton of that time. They were dealing with injuries at THT and Nunn, who's still struggling. So, they've had some issues there getting their entire lineup healthy. But yes, to answer the question, is Anthony Davis going to solve it all? It's not like when you're looking at Giannis and when you're looking at what his team's record is when he's in there. Ultimately, he's one of the top 5 big men in this league. He's one of the top 5 big men in the league, and whoever's adding that type of level of talent, it's going to be improvement, but they still collectively have soul searching to do once he comes back.
Look, the only way the Lakers get better is from within. There's no help coming from the outside. They could try to do something at the trade deadline, but they really don't have the assets to get much done. And so it's on those 3 guys. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook. They made the deal over the summer. They said they were going to do it together. It's on them to figure it out.
Right. And, we haven't seen it come together for a string of multiple games thus far. I know that they are hoping that getting Anthony Davis back, if nothing else, provides some sort of morale boost, Richard.
Yeah, well, they were saying, look, for the last 5 years, we've talked about Anthony Davis being a top 5 player, a top 5 talent, when he's going to lift himself to Defensive Player of the Year, MVP candidate. Well, right now, he's looking like a top 5 big man. He's not even looking like a top 5 in his position, because you're talking about Giannis. I would put above him. I would put Embiid above him, and I would put Jokic above him. So right now, he currently, all of that ability and talent, and won a championship, he right now is probably the 4th best big man in this league.
On Perk's list, that would be DeAndre Ayton, so he would actually.
I would put Anthony Davis above DeAndre, but not.
The 75 greatest players of all time.
I think it's also players available as well.
I mean, that's also fair. Yeah. Ramona, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you.
I don't even want to say it's a slow start because it's the preseason, but should they be concerned about what they see so far?
No, I actually think they've looked all right. When you see the 3 main guys play, which we haven't seen very minutes of all 3, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook, we haven't seen them together all that much. But when you see them play, they've been pretty good together. Anthony Davis has sat out a couple of games with the lower back injury. Finally saw him last night. LeBron James has sat out just to load manage. Russell Westbrook has sat out. But in the times that they've been together, they've been leading. The games they lost, Darvingham would take the starters out, and the subs couldn't hold it. So maybe if you're concerned about the depth.
No one's ever won anything in preseason. Matt, what have you thought about the Lakers so far this preseason?
Again, this, RJ, and the guys who've played, this is for rhythm and timing and kind of figuring out who else is going to be on this team, come opening night. So I never put too much stock into preseason. On the flip side, you can look at my Sacramento Kings, and they've had undefeated preseasons and still haven't been able to get over that hump. So, they've been 1-9, unfortunately, in the last 2 preseasons. But I don't play into that at all. As Ramona said, it's about getting those 3 guys together, those guys being healthy, and moving forward during the regular season.
Perk, what have you seen?
I seen Anthony Davis, and that's all I need to see. I wanted to see a healthy AD that's on the mission, Anthony Davis that was talking about playing 82 games this season, Anthony Davis that has a chip on his shoulder And I think throughout the course of this preseason, we have seen that. I've seen enough, and I know that he's ready.
Oh, I don't know. Matt, okay, let's talk about this because we're going to talk more about Anthony Davis. He's going to come up in this show. For you to say that he's going to be MVP, I have been on record to say that I believe that he is the fourth best player in his position as the big. Behind Jokic, behind Giannis, behind Embiid. I think it then comes Anthony Davis. And all three of those guys that I just mentioned have either won the MVP or have been first or second in MVP voting. I'm talking about Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. You think that he's going to overcome all three of those players and be the MVP this season, Bert?
Well, first of all, Richard, I don't believe that they're all in the same position, in my opinion. Jokic and Embiid are centers. Okay, let's get that out the way. But when I look at Anthony Davis, let's not act like 3 years ago we didn't have him and Giannis going neck to neck in the conversation. It was a conversation there. Let's not act like AD didn't put up. Let's not act like AD didn't put up historical numbers when they won the championship down there in the bubble. You said it yourself, Richard. When it comes down to Anthony Davis, he's one of the most skilled, versatile players in the game. The problem with AD is that he's injury prone. But when he's healthy, he has shown us time and time again that he could go out there and dominate and be up there with the best of them.
Well, 3 years is a long time, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking this before. We hope that we're just not living in the past with all Anthony Davis greatness, because we all know here in the world should know he has the tools to be a top 5 player in the world, hands down, when he's on the court and available and playing well. So, again, we don't want to live in the past. We just have to see it now. But like Perk said, if this guy has played 60, 65 games and plays how he can play, there's no reason to me why he can't be MVP.
No, again, we're talking about 65 games. I think that
Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis are not living up to their billing and what they were supposed to be doing whenever LeBron James wasn't on the floor. Now, obviously, LeBron James has been out for a few games, and we get all of that. He clearly was suspended last night for reasons that we all know about. But after ranking number 1 in defensive efficiency rating last year, number 1, they are 20th. They're worse than 20th right now. And so when we take that into consideration, the fact that they're giving up 50 points in the paint per game on average, and you look at the level of efficiency that simply is not there. You got a point guard in Russell Westbrook that's leading the league, second in the league in turnovers behind James Harden. I'm looking at a Los Angeles Lakers squad that is playing devoid of urgency. They're in L.A., chilling out, being a little bit too comfortable. And I'm looking at Frank Vogel, and the last thing I want to say is this. When he was in Indiana, because the reason why he's a head coach now is because of what he did as a head coach in Indiana. I will remind you, in his 5 seasons, I got it right here, he ranked first from 2011 to 2016. He was 10th, 1st, 8th, and 3rd. Last year, he was number 1. And now you got this going on. Frank Vogel, I'm saying it right here. Frank Vogel is going to be in trouble real quick if this continues.
Why do you disagree?
No. Well, they don't have the personnel to play that defense. I was just at their game the other night. We were at the Celtic game, and I went to the Pistons game. They're playing a lot more zone. They can't stop the ball defensively. That's their true problem. And the other thing is they've been injured. LeBron James has been out. AD's going to miss tonight's game. And then your final point about Russ leading the league in turnovers.
Second in turnover.
Yeah.
But because of him, they're second in pace. And I'll tell you the actual answer that's going to stop them from playing championship-level ball. They're going to be 5 or lower in the West.
That's not against the New York Knicks, even though New York stood up and handled their business like I told y'all they was going to do. Here's the reality of the situation. Russell Westbrook is tearing them up. I mean, the guy shot about 10 times in the first quarter, in the third quarter. I'm sorry. Fourth quarter comes, mistake number 1. Vogel starts with him on the bench. When you got Russell Westbrook flowing like that, hitting 3-point shots, hit perimeter shots, you leave him in the game.
Yeah.
Took him out. Then when you brought him back in, he took 3 shots the rest of the game. Where you at, Anthony Davis? Where you at? He made difference against Detroit. Frustrated you that night. But against the New York Knicks, all of a sudden his defensive prowess was non-existent. These things cannot happen. That does not have anything to do with LeBron James. That's got something to do with the team and Vogel.
Right, Jalen, there's one other thing we haven't mentioned. Michael Wilbon said they're an all-star team. Here's the problem. They're an all-star team from like 2015.
Correct.
And that's the problem. How much of the factor is age in all of this?
That's exactly where I was going, age. So like the education world, to me, your GPA reflects your work ethic, and your test taking a lot of times is your skill. The same thing for the NBA regular season, right?
Oh, don't worry about it. I got you, because we want to hear what you got to say. Hold on for a second here. I got your
The NBA regular season is about your autonomy. and your ability to play the marathon game.
We're good. Go ahead.
An older
It's fine.
basketball
We can hear
team,
him.
it just doesn't have the ability to do so at a consistent rate. That's why they've been down 25 in a third of their games.
It's unbelievable.
Because this is still a young man's game.
But one of the specific things Jalen said, I think,
Thank you, brother,
plays into this. When we choose all-star teams, they're not looking at anything defensively. But if you look at the Lakers, they are not at this point. There are not enough people in that lineup, people who do dirty work things, who are not all-stars, who can stop ball, who can get in front of people and stay there. There are not, Stephen A., because if they were, they wouldn't be 25 points down.
Michael Wilbon, 25 points down on 6 separate occasions. 2 losses to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We gonna sit here with straight faces. Hold on, I understand that.
Right.
I understand that. We gonna sit here with a straight face and say they need those components to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder team?
Apparently
really?
they do.
You know what they need to do? They need to stop getting beat in transition. They need to start playing defense. They give up the most points in the paint of any team in the NBA. They do all the things that cause you to lose games, and that's why right now they're losing.
Greeny, you're driving me crazy. Yes, Greeny, we know that. What I'm trying to say is, how difficult is that to do against some of these opponents? No, you lost focus. You comfortable in la-la. You're not prioritizing and playing with a level of urgency.
This is about want to. I think this is about the